Hello Gilda's Club. Today we are making classic granny squares. A beautiful and simple airy square invented in the late 1800s. You've probably got blankets made of them, probably from your grandma. Someone in the family probably crochets. This is an heirloom piece that you will be able to make. And the real point of our crochet group now, we're starting kind of a granny square club, some place to meet up, do something very meditative and very repetitive together so that we can socialize and make things and create some really cool projects, because these make an excellent building block. So let's see how they come together. For today's lesson, you're going to need some yarn in a heavier DK weight, so just what you would think of standard yarn. You're going to need a hook for crocheting. This is a J hook. This is 6mm. It's a really excellent hook for a beginner. Scissors, and my 0 to Granny Square in 2 Hours worksheet, which you can find in the comments or you can receive via email if you are part of Gilda's Club. So you will need this worksheet as well. So last week we were able to do double crochet, half double crochet, and treble crochet. The class before that we did single crochet. You had this sheet here for you to write down in your own words how to do these stitches. So hopefully you have a really good reference now in your own brain language. That will help you to get started on reading a pattern together and making a granny square. I've included both a written pattern where you will help to say what to do in row 3, and I've also got a crochet chart here that explains how to do it. If you compare what I speak to you and show you to what is written here, I think it will give you a pretty good first lesson on how to read a pattern or a chart. So, using the skills that we've gained over the last month, we're going to attempt to make a granny square now. This will also exist as kind of a reference for you when we begin our crochet community at Gilda's Club, so that you can return to this and refresh your memory anytime that you need to. So keep this piece of paper handy and get your yarn and your crochet hook. Now, like any other class we've done so far, we're going to start with a slip knot. Again, that's putting your short tail on top, reaching through the back of this loop and pulling another loop up like that. Okay, pull it on, don't make it too tight, it should be able to move. Now let's look at this written pattern together. We already did our slip knot. Now this CH. How can I learn what CH means? Look at my crochet terminology chart. CH, oh, sorry, it's not on here, but CH means chain. Sorry about that. Everything else is here, I promise. CH means chain. So according to our written pattern, we chain 4. Okay, easy enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can count them afterwards. You can count as you go. You just want to have 4. It looks about like that. Next, my pattern says slip, slista. What's slista? Slista is slip stitch. That's a new stitch for us, but it's an easy one. So let's look at what that is. It says slip stitch in first chain to form loop. So the first chain is going to be the first one we made, and to slip stitch I put my hook into that chain I yarn over, then I come out of that chain, and I also come through the loop on my hook. So I've almost basically just tied a little knot here. Let me do that again so that you can see it. So to do a slip stitch, I'll first decide where I want the slip stitch. I want it in my first chain. So I stick my hook in that chain. I yarn over, I come through that chain, and I come through that loop on my hook. So now I've made myself this little loop right here, out of chain, right? Got this little chain. Let's see what's next. Row 1 says chain 3, CH3, DC2 into loop. DC stands for double crochet. DC 2 into loop. Okay, so first I'm going to chain 3, DC 2 into loop. Got this little loop here. Chain 1, 2, 3. Okay, then I'm going to put my double crochets into that loop here. Where I would normally work into a chain, I'm just going to work right into this loop. So refresher on double crochet, yarn over into our loop, yarn over out of the loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over into the loop, yarn over out of the loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So I've done my 3 chain and 2 DC. Looks like this. I can still see my loop here, and I can see this kind of cluster that I've made. Interesting. Let's see what's next. DC 2 into loop. Okay, I did that. Chain 3, DC 3 into loop, chain 3 times 3. Okay, so that sounds kind of complicated, but it's not. And let me show you why. I just did this. This is 1, 2, 3 chains, and then 1, 2 DCs. That's what these symbols mean here, double crochet. Then I've got 1, 2, 3 chain, and 3 DC in the loop. 1, 2, 3 chain, 3 DC in the loop. So this picture and this pattern are telling me to do the exact same thing, and I just kind of have to work between them to follow it. So I know that I have already done this part. Let's continue. I know I need to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, did that. And then I know that I need to DC 3 more into the loop. So I'm going to turn my loop, do my 3 DC into the loop, so I've basically just made myself a corner. Here's my first cluster, here's my corner, here's my second cluster. Turn again, chain 1, 2, 3, yarn over. I'm doing my 3 DC now. Okay, 2 corners made. I just did my 3 chain. I'm going to do my last cluster. You can see how I'm building out the shape of this square. 3 DC. Okay, that's my last cluster. Now I need to chain 1, 2, 3, and I need to attach this to make that corner. See where it says slip stitch into 3rd chain to close row. This would be my 1, 2, 3rd chain up here. So just stick my hook into that chain, yarn over through everything, and I have made the beginnings of a square. If you're not sure what I did, or if you need to go over it again, you can rewind this portion and go back, but I can walk you through it one more time here. You see how this looks a lot like this? This is just a really good drawing of what this should be. In fact, to put it into the same perspective as the drawing, let me just clean this up for you. You're looking at it exactly as this, the back side of it. If your round 1 looks like this, let's move on to round 2. Round 2 tells us turn your work. So we're doing front way right now, turn it the other way. You can see you've got the lumpy side of your chain looking at you, not the braided side. And you can see you've got the back side of your double crochet with these very easy to find holes to stitch in. So turn your hook around and get yourself situated. We turned our work like it said. Next, chain 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. Sounds like last time. Next, whoops, sorry. DC2 into corner loop. Here's my corner loop, so I'll DC 1 and 2. That is my first cluster of row 2. Next, chain 3, DC3, chain 1. So that seems, okay, let's just do it step by step. So chain 3, okay, 1, 2, 3. Turn my work just a little bit, like rotate your work. I won't say turn your work because that's what I usually say when you do it all the way around. Rotate your work just a little. Then we're going to DC3 into this loop. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And then I do believe it told me to chain 1. So that is one corner down. My sheet says now, next corner, DC3, chain 3, DC3, chain 1. I'm doing that times 3 because when you have these asterisks, it's always a series of stitches. So I'm doing that series repeated times 3 because I've got, look, 1, 2, 3 more corners to go. So let's do this pattern together. We double crochet 1, 2, 3 into this corner loop. Then we chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Rotate our work because we're starting on this side now, and DC3, 1, 2, 3. Second corner complete. And then I chain 1, 2 cross over, and I go over here. Do the series again. Double crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and I would suggest if I'm going too fast with my stitches, just pause me and catch up with me periodically. So we're just doing this repetitive series. Then on the corner we go 1, 2, 3, rotate our work. We'd put 3 more DC into here. 1, 2, 3, and our chain 1. I have now 3 corners. I'm going to work in this one. 3 DC, 1, 2, 3. To make that corner, I chain 3, 1, 2, 3, rotate my work, and DC 3. Chain 1. Then I've done all of the repeats for where it says next corner. Then it says slip stitch into third chain to close row. Remember, this was 1, 2, 3. There's my third chain up there. I slip my hook into that chain. I yarn over, go through that chain, and through the loop on my hook. I have made 2 rows on my granny square, and you see it's coming out quite square. Pretty cool. So here we are 2 rows in. Let's do that last row. Now, row 3 is not filled in here. You have clues as how to do it based on what we've done so far. But I wonder if you can kind of play along with me now and figure out what to do with row 3. So I've got my work facing me from the perspective that I was looking at it before. What we did before was we turned our work. Alright, turned my work. Now if we look at rows 1 and 2, we know that we need to chain 3, right? Chain 3 both times to come up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next I'm here at this hole. I need to fill in that hole. So when I've got this here, this counts as a DC. Remember, I've only been doing 2 when I chain, so I'll do 2 DC. Take a minute to write this down if you want to have a record of how to do your third row. Next, I'm coming over to this corner. Now, last row, when I hopped over a cluster, I would chain 1. So I'm going to do that now. Then I'm going to put another cluster in my corner here. 1, 2, 3 DC is a cluster. Now, since I'm on the corner, what do I know I need to do? I've done this in rows 1 and 2. I'm going to chain 3 on the corner, right? Chain 3. Just like the last 2 rows. 1, 2, 3. Then I can rotate my work. Now, to make a corner, I know that I need 2 clusters because that's what it looks like down here. Do 1 cluster here to make 2 for the full corner turn. Perfect. Need to hop over this cluster. Now I'll fill in this space. You'll see that I'm starting to get long sides along with my corners. I'm just filling in every time I see a space here. If it's on the side, it gets 1 cluster. If it's on the corner, it gets 2 clusters with 3 chains in between. So I can just keep doing this. I will keep crocheting and kind of talk my way through it. So I did my little chain 1 to hop over this cluster. I'm going to put 3 into this side. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 to hop over this cluster. Then I'm going to work in this corner. 1, 2, whoops, and 3. Now to make my corner turn, I need to chain 1, 2, 3. Need 1 more cluster. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So now I've got these 2 corners made. You can see I'm filling up that row here. Chain 1 to hop over this cluster, go in this nice big hole here. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, hop over this cluster, then we're going to do another corner, which is 1 cluster of 3, chain 3, 1 cluster of 3, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, chain, rotate my piece. 1, 2, 3, made another corner. Almost there. Chain 1 to hop over this and do 3 into this. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, hop over into this last corner here. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 2, 3. Since I'm on a corner, rotate my work, put my last cluster in here. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, then into the third chain of this chain loop, chain group here. I'm going to do my slip stitch. Okay, so there you have it. When you are doing your granny squares, you start with just your little 4 sides here, right? Then you end up putting a corner in each corner of the first one. Then you put corners and sides in as you go. You can make a granny square as big as your entire bedspread. You're just going to keep filling in corners and then going 1, 2, fill in the corner, 1, 2, fill in the corner. As big as they get, there's no limit to them. So I hope this is helpful to you as kind of a record of how to do your granny square. They're addictive. You'll probably want to make thousands of them. They're fun. So there you go. That's what your granny square looks like. Did you get it? Did you figure it out? If not, please feel free to email me, or also use the keywords granny square or granny square tutorial, granny square help, different kinds of granny squares on YouTube. Just search those. Google if you want like a written explanation. There are so many ways to make this possible for you. So use the tools that I provide, use the tools that are available to you online, and you will figure this out and start making your own beautiful heirlooms for your family. I hope this was helpful to you. Thanks.